In a world where job fields are more and more filled with mediocrity, a world where society is filled with students who are unsure about their futures and direction in life, who tend to take wrong majors and waste their time, effort, and money, and when they are inevitably hit with reality checks later on in life, they end up disappointed and hopeless. It is a world that side proposition wants to avoid, thus, we proudly stand with the technology's implementation. Quick points of setup before I begin my speech. On characterization, regarding high schoolers, first is that we believe high schoolers to be most often than not, to some degree, rebellious against figures of authority, i.e. parents, teachers, etc. It is thus less likely for these students or high schoolers to fully believe or take in advice from their seniors, i.e. parents or consulting advisors, regarding their futures. Whereas the technology touted by side propositions results could be ignored, yes, but it is more unlikely since, for the sake of the debate, the technology is accurate and will actually give accurate findings for these students. Second is that these high schoolers are still unsure about where they are going to go in the future, which tends to lead them to be led more so by their passion and dreams over what's actually good for them long term. This lack of reality often leads to these children or high schoolers choosing the wrong majors, which I've said before, ends up in them wasting a lot of money, time, energy. But even if they do push through, two things here. They might find out that their passion does not translate well when they're actually working every day for it. In a quick illustration, a kid dreaming of becoming a teacher might end up actually hating teaching due to it turning out to be harder than what they imagine. Even if they do still like it, there might be a fundamental lack of societal support in the form of monetary or economic support. A quick illustration is, for example, the term the starving artist, in which, let's say, a kid wants to become an artist in the future, but because of the saturation of the market or the art field, a lot of people don't really actually care about supporting artists. Thus, these children are less likely to gain financial motivation or financial incentives in the future to do so. The technology thus helps in determining which sector is actually best for these children in the future. The quick burden on this debate is that on side proposition, we have the fiat that the technology work. However, side proposition will also prove that its implementation in high school is going to result in a net good for society. Whereas, side opposition has to prove otherwise, i.e. that its implementation will instead harm society as a whole. Quick preemptives then, on the side opposition might bring to you panels about points regarding passion or like children needing dreams to be good for the future. Sure, we agree that passion is important, that dreams exist as motivation for these children. Yeah, sure, we agree. However, we also believe that the livelihoods of people and the betterment of society is more fundamental than the passions of children in the short term. Second preemptive is that opposition might say to you, panel's judge, that we are forcing children into positions that society might deem as not as important or as prestigious job-wise, i.e. the technology might say that a child is more suited to become a janitor or a blue-collar worker. We don't necessarily think that this is the case because, like consultations, etc., the machine assesses and gives the results, but it does not force. Moving on then to my substantives. Two substantives in my speech today, in that first, it helps high schoolers prepare for the future, and second, it betters society overall. Firstly, principally, when you are given the chance to ascertain what your child is best suited for, you should advise them towards a route for a chance at giving them a better future. The premise is simple then judge. High schools act as a place for children to realize and develop their talents. Insofar as that is an undeniable case, the implementation of this technology is therefore non-negotiable, and side opposition cannot say otherwise. Few points then. Firstly, on high schoolers who still aren't sure of what they are going to do in the future. We believe these high schoolers to be very likely to just pick a major that they might not be fully suited for. Thus, with this unclear self-realization of these high schoolers, we believe that their future will also be unclear. The technology thus helps in clearing up their doubts about themselves or in what they might be suited for in the future. Quick picturization or illustration then is, for example, a high schooler not being sure of what major that they actually want to take, ending up taking the wrong major, spending a lot of time pushing on, but then they end up taking a dead-end job that they might not even like, that they might not even give a damn about, that they might not even care about in the future, but they still have to push through. They end up wasting their lives constantly due to this lack of self-realization. Secondly then, on high schoolers in that period of chasing after their passions and dreams. This is likely because most high schoolers have little to no exposure to the working field yet, wherein that exposure is mostly towards the jobs of the people they idolize or to jobs shown on television or online. Quick illustration. We have a lot of high schoolers currently saying they want to be online influencers, artists, etc., etc. Yes, we do have parents and consulting services in the current status quo who might advise against these children taking up jobs like this or taking up professions like these. However, as I've characterized before, high schoolers are more likely to ignore them due to their rebellious nature. What the technology causes then in this case is twofold. A, let's take in the case that what the child is suited for lines up with their passion. Best case scenario, obviously, wherein the high schooler will obviously be able to help with growing their foundation from now on. Let's say high schooler who is wanting to become a YouTuber can start making the YouTube channel, can start advertising their products, etc., from now on. Not only that, we believe that there is not going to be one field that is going to be saturated with mediocrity. Thus, because high schoolers who are following their test result is going to that field would be well suited for it, if not best suited for that field. What the child is, let's take the second case then, B. What the child is suited for doesn't actually line up with their passion. Well, it at least helps in discussing and determining where the child will want to go from there on, because it helps in avoiding it helps in avoiding sunk cost fallacy, since the tech acts as a scientific and quantitative method of measuring their abilities and talents, i.e., there's going to be less sentiments along the lines of, oh, I've invested too much time into this, I can't just back out of this now because the technology being implemented at high school. Note this, Judge, at high school allows children to still have time to change their course. What this results in is that by supporting this implementation in high school, the technology actually allows children to rethink their decisions, rethink their passions, and to actually accurately determine what these children or high schoolers are going to do from then on out, what they're going to develop, what they're going to look for in the future. Overall then, this means that we, on-site proposition, are helping high schoolers realize a better future for them, not necessarily foreseeing my new judge, but helping them realize that there is a better future or a better suited future for them. Second point then, on better society. It is exactly because they now have time, as they are still in high school due to the tech, that these high schoolers can develop their abilities for their respective fields more and more. What this means, Judge, is that in the case that they enter the fields that they are best suited towards, firstly, mediocrity is going to be curbed. It is very intuitive because positions are now going to be filled mostly with people who are actually qualified for these positions. Quick illustration, in the form of faulty products, let's say, are less likely because the designers are going to be top-notch. The machines made by the engineers which are making these products are going to be probably better than before. Secondly, is that these high schoolers might develop new passions, going to things that they might have disliked at first, might allow them to look at it from a entirely new standpoint, new viewpoint, new perspective. Thus, they might end up enjoying what they are now going to pursue, which is the best case scenario. Thus, society as a whole has an increased quality of life due to the increase in quality within the multitudes of fields in the workforce. Side proposition's exclusivity in this debate thus is that with the tech that we support, we allow, firstly, students to reflect and realize their latent talents and abilities. Second, for students to crystallize their futures better. And third, to increase the quality in society as a whole. So as a whole, the best case scenario on-site prop is that society runs smoothly and ideally, in which high schoolers will develop new passions in the fields that they are now best suited for and that they now pursue. And the worst case scenario, nothing too far-fetched happens. This is why you should stand with side proposition proposed.